Hey there, everybody. Cindy Daychuck here with Queen Bee Creations. We are in the midst of yet another snowstorm. I don't even know where this snow is going to go. Last I heard that the cities are having to truck the snow out so they have a place to put the new snow. I haven't even managed to get all the snow shoveled out of all the parking spots here because it was so thick. It was so deep, so heavy. I couldn't shovel it all. I'm feeling my age with all the shoveling, and the little bit that they plow, which is just the center aisle, they've created all these big windrows that by the time I got back, they were all iced over and I couldn't even break through them. So dilemmas. Now that we're getting 15 centimeters today, maybe another 5 overnight, and then up to 20 tomorrow. So potentially another 40 centimeters, which I'm not sure how much that is for you in States. Just a honking lot. Yeah, I don't even have a place to park. So I'm not expecting customers, even though I have the IOD release in, just because nobody's going to want to get out and drive if they don't have to. So I figure, since I'm here at the shop anyway, because that's who I am. I've got posted hours and I come for those posted hours. So I'm thinking I have a lot of time to play today, in which case I have not done an alcohol ink painting in quite a while. And so I'm going to take advantage of the time and I'm going to play. Now, as much as I kind of start a project with a bit of an idea in my head, I really don't have as much control over where the inks decide they're going to go as I like to pretend that I do. So I kind of have an idea, but the inks are also going to do their own thing and choose where ultimately they end up going. So we'll see what we end up with and we'll take it from there. So, we're just playing, and that's okay too. I think that we need to give ourselves time to just play rather than I have a plan I have to accomplish, just because we discover so many things along the way. So let's just say that this is a day of discovery that I am gifting to myself here in the shop while it's snowing out there. Hopefully I can dig myself out and get home, and we'll just have fun. We'll have fun together. Okay. For those that haven't used alcohol inks before, the paper that I'm using is specially designed to be used with alcohol inks. It is kind of plastic coated, which means it is non-porous. The inks you want to glide over the paper, so it has to be a specialty paper to allow that to happen. And then when the alcohol evaporates, it leaves the inks behind. They can be re-engaged by adding more inks or more alcohol to it. So I have 99% isopropyl alcohol in some bottles. So if I'm squishing or squeezing anything that looks like water, know that it's alcohol. I have some little paint brushes off to the side just in case. And to help me with blowing, I have a little pumper. You can use a straw if you prefer. I have a little air blower just to, save me some grief, but know that you could use any of the other tools. You don't have to invest in this just to be able to do them, okay? So we are going to get started, and I'm going to do a little bit of sky up here, and I just want to get a little bit of alcohol down first, and we'll go a little bit of a lighter. I am using some T-Rex colors. This is a glacier blue. I have pinatas, I have ranger. You're just using what you got, right? So this is a much darker monsoon blue. And this is probably way more than I need, but I'm just gonna start moving this around a little. Whoa, so spatters, too much air too close. but we can take care of that because I can add more ink, more alcohol at any time to be able to move things around a little bit more. Because this is sky, so I'm going to want it much softer. And I can already see that's way more ink than I want up there. So I just took it away. And then I can start to move some of this around to create a little bit of a better kind of cloud effect, a little bit softer. And the other thing that you can do is just pick up your paper and have those inks move, right? In different directions as well. You don't have to just leave your paper flat. You can move it in whatever direction that you want. So I'm just going to keep adding alcohol. I have more than enough color down there already. I like a little bit of the contrast of those colors. But I'm just going to keep playing to soften this. Okay, so I'm still working this, but you can see I'm getting a little bit more of a softer, cloudy effect. There's still some ink, some alcohol there that's moving, but I'm kind of digging that, so I'm gonna see where that takes us. Now I want to start working on a little bit of some of my base here, and I have some different greens and kind of ambers and that kind of thing. I just maybe look for another brown if I want, a teak wood, and it gets kind of crazy. And there's a butterscotch, like a caramely color. So I'm going to try and just start kind of layering a little bit of color. And let me maybe start with, this is a bit of kelp. And I don't want to get tons of this in here yet. I want this to be a little bit of a softer movement for some of this. So let me just let that line flow on its own here. Okay, I kind of like that. I kind of like that action happening. Okay, the other thing that I have here, and I'm just going to add some alcohols. I've got some alcohol inks in this that have dried, so I'm adding more alcohol, which will re-engage the inks. What I'm thinking of trying here is adding some of this color using the paintbrush. Let's just mix a little bit. I've got some of the alcohol inks in here, and we can just kind of see. I don't think that's my favorite look, doing it by brush. You know what? Sometimes these things are worth a try. And then you go, no. So to clean your brush, just hit it with the alcohol and then wipe it off. So I'm going back to my old method, which I'm just going to be dropping in my colors. But I might want a little bit of brown in here. And we just go for it. We just start adding in little bits and pieces where we might want. And letting it roll a little. All right, I didn't like the sky, so I added a whack of alcohol across this section, and I've just been holding it up, letting all of it drift across. I like that lightness and that color. I add a little bit of yellow in there to be able to get some of that flow. And once this is dry, I'm going to do the same thing here because I have a lot of color there, and then I can add more on after. But right now it's just too blobby and too heavy looking for what I'm after. I just want that top to dry first. Let's even out that bottom, and then we can work above it. So a ton of alcohol going on. Let's swirl it over. You can see it start to blur those colors and those lines. You can move it all the way around, which is just fun in and of itself. Let's get a little bit of it off. Now I'm going to let it roll down. And these blobs that are there is because I mistakenly had some acrylic ink in my little pan off to the side that I dropped in there, and it's a permanent fixture there now that we'll have to just kind of incorporate in there somehow. Okay, and now we can and you can see these harsh lines even start to soften out and blur out and give us a bit of a place to play. All right, Awesome. Now I'm gonna rock and roll here. So I can give myself a puddle of alcohol. Start with a little brown over here. I need to know what colors I got going. A little bit of this green. Let's see. There's a lot of green in that. It's a little bit of a brown going over those spots. This is just the alcohol ink, so it's going to re-engage as soon as we add some other colors to it, right? Now, to add a little bit of texture, it looks really muddy, but it's just predominantly alcohol. I'm just taking that dirty looking alcohol, dropping it into a couple places where I have a lot of ink, and then blowing it up just to create like natural looking tendrils that are popping up out of the grass, the rock, the whatever. So just using the ink to be able to do some of that and adding a little bit of that tiny detail in there. It just softens some of the areas. All right, now what I have is some acrylic black ink. So this is going to react differently than the alcohol-based inks, which is what I want. And I'm going to just look to kind of add in a little bit of a tree here. Now these are the thicker branches. And what I'm going to do is then take my stylus and drop in a dab of black ink. And let this shoot those smaller branches. Oh, that one just didn't want to move. Too slow. I gotta try and dab with my left hand and blow with my right. All right, I get that looks really stark, but what I want to do is now take a fan brush and I want to kind of drag it through some of my ink, and I just want to start to loosely add some color. You can see how it all starts to spread out. So let's try getting a little other color on there. Let's try a little. The last thing that I want to do on this, and this was a different technique for me doing, you know, the paint spatters kind of from the end of this, but I quite like the look of that for the tree. Probably not as much black on the tree, but you know, what are you gonna do? But I want to just add a little bit of some fine black detailing here and there to kind of balance out the starkness. I added 2 little blown acrylic trees, bushes, that kind of thing to balance it off. And so I'm just taking a fine black gel pen and I'm just going to add in, you know, a little bit where we did some of those kind of blown ink lines. I'll just add in a little bit of really rough kind of tendrils in there and some grasses and just a little bit of that rough detailing. You can see I'm really not taking my time with it, but I'm just strengthening out some of those color values here and there, which I think then makes the black in there work a little bit better. Before I put the painting, the finished painting, into a frame, I did spray it with this archival varnish. So it seals it, but it also provides some UV protection because the alcohol inks are very UV susceptible. So this is roughly our finished painting. I'm trying to get it so there's no whatever. You can see, again, it's very green. I usually do things more blue, but this kind of lent itself to being green. But you can see that we get some of the lightness from, let me see close up if you can see that they're all little dots of ink and they've all kind of spread, but because we layered them over and over with just little tips of that, we get it kind of having a bit of a light and airy feel to it more than anything else. And you know, the browns, we got some rocks, the sky definitely needed to be lightened up like we did. But that's really the beauty of alcohol inks, is that, you know, if you don't like it, then wet it and let all the ink flow off, right? Wipe it away. You might not get it back to a perfectly pristine page, but you're going to get it back to something that you could still use. You're not going to have to throw that out and throw it away. So again, a little bit of a different scene, definitely kind of playing with some different techniques for me more than anything else. Enough so too that you saw couldn't get clouds how I liked, so we just ended up washing them out and creating a very soft, serene sky instead. And that's okay. That's part of what the playing and learning process is all about. And these are just so much fun to be able to play with and be able to create some different looks and some different textures. So hope that you give it a try. Hope this inspires you to give it a try if you haven't. And just, you know, hopefully it inspires you. If not with alcohol inks, then just getting out and playing and trying something else. It's really what it's all about. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, take care.